Thank you to Fane for their support on Patreon.
I wake up groggily, my head throbbing a bit from laying it on the stiff pillow. Like the last time I woke up, it takes me a while to realize where I am. And, just like last time, I get a sinking feeling in my stomach when I realize where that is. I lay on my side, staring at the wall in front of me, watching shadows dance along the log bumps. It's depressing, though not as much as last time. At some point, I guess I realized that there wasn't much I could do. Just go with it and hope something comes of it. At least there seemed to be a goal in the mind of whatever had control of this. Whatever it was. Suddenly, I feel an arm slide over my hip and I stiffen. Carl breathes into the back of my neck. Oh, hey, buddy. You okay? I feel the soft warmth of Carl's body press up against my back. It's been a long, long time since I felt someone spoon me. Didn't it happen, like, earlier? I don't know. Thinking about Leo, though, only makes my stomach knot up even more. Yeah. Carl picks up on it right away. His broad muzzle sneaks over my neck and soon he's pressing his cheek against mine. I can feel him hesitating as he does it, his moments kind of jerky and awkward. I almost laugh, but I have to remind myself that Carl probably hasn't done this before, at least not since high school. Definitely not with a guy, at least. A hand slides over my side close to my crotch. Buddy. He doesn't go lower, though, and keeps it pressed against my body. It feels nice having someone close to me like this. Even though I've given up on trying to understand the situation, I'm still scared about what's happening. I can feel Carl's heart beating hard against my back, and I wonder if he's thinking about the same things. That's when I feel his very hard dick pressing up against my ass. Oh, God. I almost laugh again. Here I am in a haunted ghost cabin, and my childhood friend is grinding up on me. Carl feels me tense and lifts his hand away from my stomach. Sorry, is this not... I roll over abruptly to face him. His green eyes immediately look away from mine, and I see red creeping underneath the thin fur of his ear. I decide to go with the same technique I used last night and slide up against his soft body before pressing my lips against his. That seems to break the ice, and he immediately responds, pressing his tongue against my lips before I open them to let it in. Carl's surprisingly good at tongue kissing, better than Leo was anyway. Oh, shit! It glides over my tongue before flicking against my teeth. I'm momentarily worried about how I haven't brushed at least for 2 days now, but Carl doesn't seem to mind. Ew! Gross! He hasn't either, after all. He wraps his hands around my back, sliding one under my body so that he can wrap me in a full embrace. The feeling of being enveloped in Carl's soft and strong warmth makes my heart skip a beat, and pretty soon, I'm just as hard as he is. Oh my. While his hands toy with my tail... Oh yeah, God. I get to work running my own hands under his shirt, sliding them along his firm belly before pushing his shirt up. Carl tenses and giggles. Oh fuck, that tickles! I pause and smirk at him. I barely touched you. I give his stomach a light prod and he curls up a bit more, grabbing my wrist. Dude, I think I'm just not used to being touched. Like, I apply both hands this time, rolling them like spiders up his stomach and chest. Never gonna get... Dude, no! He twists and writhes under my hands, desperately trying to stifle his giggles before finally snatching at my hands by the wrists. I'm reminded how strong he is, and when he easily rolls me to my back, straddling my hips as he pins my hands above my head. You asshole. Carl's breathing heavily, letting out a little giggle every now and then. Sorry, I've just never seen someone get so... I pause as I hear some movement from downstairs, followed by what sounds like Raven's voice. Oh, shit. I'm reminded of our situation when I see some flakes of blood around Carl's nose and big splotches on his shirt. Oh, yeah, I guess we're being a little loud. Yeah, how's your nose? Carl automatically raises a hand to touch his nose. Hurts a little bit, but I'm okay. That's good. I lay there in silence for a few seconds, feeling like the moment is kind of ruined. I look again at the walls, remembering that we should be looking for something instead of messing around like this. What you looking at? Not sure. Hey, we should be finding something, right? My crotch is starting to get a little uncomfortable under the weight of Carl's body. I mean, didn't that ghost ancestor whatever tell you we needed to find stuff? Carl rubs his nose. Yeah, in the last place we were in, at least. I guess it would be the same for this place, right? Unless it was what we already burned up. Yeah. Carl sits there quietly thinking. I think I might try to look downstairs. Do you want to stay up here and look around? Yeah. I want to get those other two start looking too. The threat of Jenna hangs heavy in the air, and the way we are both obviously avoiding it makes it all the heavier. What about your ankle? I flex it around, the twinge a lot less sharp now, though the stiffness feels even worse. I think I'm okay. Let me try it out. Okay. Carl sits there for a while longer, then seems to suddenly realize that he needs to get off so I can get up. He scrambles off awkwardly as I sit up and swing my legs over the side of the bed. Pressing my foot to the floor, the twinge that runs to my ankle is minuscule. Standing up, I'm able to put some pressure on it before it hurts too much. The problem is that I can't bend the joint at all, leaving me with an obvious and lumbering limp. I think I'm okay. Can I get you down the stairs at least? I warmed to the concern of in Carl's voice, though I don't really want him and Jenna anywhere near each other, especially after what she might have heard just now. No, I want to test it out a bit more. I turn my head to look back at Carl and can see a worried look on his face. I'll call you if I need help, okay? Carl purses his lips. All right. The trip down the stairs is ponderous and awkward. I'm probably loud, too, because when I reach the bottom, I find both Raven and Jenna already staring at me. Hey. Hey! Jenna doesn't say anything, continuing to watch me. We stare at each other awkwardly a bit before she finally moves her head to look down at my leg. How's your leg? It's all right. A bit stiff, though. I grasped at the opportunity to talk about anything other than what we were obviously doing. I think I should be able to walk normally, maybe in a few days. Hopefully in a few days we'll be out of here, so you can do that. Yeah. Jenna is definitely not herself right now. Her eyes are vacant, dull, and it's hard to explain, but they lack the mischievous and compassionate look that I'm used to seeing. Her voice is weird, too. It's deeper, more husky. We'll be out of here by then, Raven says it with a grin as he leans back in the chair he's sitting in. Yeah, actually, I wanted to talk to you guys about that. About what? About how to get out of here. And how do we do that? Well, I was thinking that the last time we were able to unlock the door, all we had to do was find that letter. Raven blinks at me. So, we find a letter? Or something like that? We just need to find something, I think. We did find something. I look over at Jenna. Huh? I said we did find something. Carl burned it. Oh, well, I don't think Carl burned it. He did. I pause. But there's got to be something else, or maybe whatever's doing this has a way of putting something else here. The others don't say anything. I don't know, but we can't just sit here. Looking around is the least we can do. Where is Carl? Jenna's standing up now, looking at the ceiling. Faintly, I can hear the clopping of Carl's hooves on the soft wood. He's looking around upstairs. Jenna continues to look up at the ceiling, her face stony. Let's start in this room! Raven stands up and starts walking along the wall, looking up and down the logs, prodding at the spaces in between. Jenna's still looking up at the ceiling, and I worry that she's going to try to go upstairs. Hey, Jenna, can you help me look around the kitchen? Jenna looks back at me. Huh? My ankle still kind of hurts. It'd be nice to be able to lean on someone if I need to walk far, to the kitchen. Jenna pauses before moving over to my side. She stands there stoically, and I awkwardly wrap an arm around her shoulders. Thanks. Yeah. We amble slowly to the kitchen. Jenna stops in the middle of the room and waits. I guess I'll start with the cabinets? My voice goes up at the end, like I'm asking a question. Jenna didn't say anything, so I stumble away from her, again awkwardly, before finding support on the wooden pantry. I hesitantly start opening some of the cupboards, feeling a lot less into my idea than I was just a few minutes earlier. Jenna stares out the window. So, are you okay? She finally looks back at me, frowning. I'm fine, why? You're being really distant. Do you need me to stand next to you? No, I mean, you seem like you're not really here, mentally. I'm sorry. I open another pantry door and a set of glass mugs. Is it something to do with Carl? I know that Jenna's going through something similar to what Carl is. I just have no idea what's doing it or why. Something that wants this to go as unsmoothly as possible, clearly. I don't have a problem with Carl. I mean, what he did yesterday. I just have a problem with the way he acts. He could do a lot if he put his mind to it. It takes me a moment to realize that she's talking about what happened before all of this. So, you attacked him? What? No, that was something else. I turn around and finally see something familiar about Jenna. Some life in her eyes. Maybe all I have to do is talk about stuff before this whole warp to ghost dimension. I mean, he tries. He just has problems. Shouldn't a psychology major know that? Jenna looks away from me. I guess, but I'm not a therapist. So what? So I don't know. No, I mean, shouldn't anyone have sympathy? I'd have a little more sympathy if he actually try and get help. He has, but it's not that easy. Again, I don't feel like I should be explaining this to someone who has 4 years of psychology under her belt. I tried to get help, but I didn't. I tried to get help, but I didn't feel better for years. It doesn't say anything. Carl's problems didn't really start until his first year of college. I keeping pulling open cupboards. My heart's sinking a little more each time there's nothing inside. I mean, yeah, he had problems before, but it's only getting worse for him. Well, it doesn't matter what I think about Carl right now. We're trying to find out some way out of here, and screwing around isn't gonna help. Jenna says this in such a way that I feel like it was supposed to be pointed. There's little doubt now that she heard us messing around upstairs. I sigh and reach up to pull open the last cabinet. He is not who you think he is. It's so quiet and deep, I'm not sure that it's Jenna who said it. I turn around, but she's already on the other side of the room, standing next to the opposite set of pantries. Did you say something? She doesn't respond, so... I stare at her for another few seconds before slowly turning back around. The fur on the back of my neck prickles at the idea of turning my back on her. Why did these damn ghosts have to be so subtle and cryptic? If that's what it is, of course. It seemed like James had no trouble telling Carl about the whole clue-finding crap. Why couldn't they just tell him, or even Jenna, right now instead of me just creeping me out? The kitchen isn't very big, so I run out of things to search through pretty quickly. I skip the area around the window, though, not having forgotten about what happened yesterday. Yesterday? I don't know how to keep track of time in this place. I look back over at Jenna, who's still in the same place, staring at the pantry. The thought that maybe I, myself, could be possessed momentarily passes through my mind. For some reason, I doubt it, even though I'm not sure why. I don't really feel like I'm of interest to whatever it is that's doing this. At least not directly. As I continue to stare, I see something past Jenna at the base of the stairs. A ram's horn curling out from around the corner to the entrance of the stairs. I stare for a moment. Hey, I'm gonna go upstairs. Jenna's head snaps back sharply to stare at me, and I swear I hear her neck crack. Just to see if he found anything. I'll be back. I awkwardly sidle my way from the kitchen towards the stairs, Jenna's gaze following me the entire way. Once I reach the base of the stairs, I find Carl standing there. He jumps when I come around the corner, and he stands straight up, one hand resting against the wall. His eyes are red, and the short fur on his face is all messed up. Carl, are you okay? I whisper it, but Carl immediately turns around and starts back up the stairs quietly. I follow him, wondering what it could be. Did he find something horrific? I wouldn't be surprised at all if that were the case. Once we reach the top of the stairs, Carl heads straight for the bedroom. Carl, what happened? Did you find something? At that moment, he turns around and hugs me. It's so enveloping and firm that the air is almost crushed out of me. I grunt and freeze for a moment, listening to Carl huff into my chest. He's holding me like I'm something precious, like if he lets go, I'm going to be swept away somehow. I'm quiet for a few seconds, letting Carl get whatever this is out of his system. My arms are pinned down to my sides anyway, so it's not like I can respond physically. Hey, are you okay? It's a dumb question because none of us are okay. Carl finally lets go. He turns away from me right away to sit on the bed and put his face in his hands. My shirt is damp, and I look down to see 2 wet spots where his eyes must have been. Tentatively, I sit down next to him at the foot of the bed and put my hand on his back. Hey, what happened? Carl sniffs loudly, wiping his eyes before putting his face back down in his hands. The ram sighs before finally straightening up to lean back on his hands, looking away from me. I just feel like shit is all. Can I help? I just had a moment, couldn't breathe. I keep rubbing his back, knowing that there really isn't anything I can do. A panic attack? How come? A lot of things. Carl shivers under my touch. And, I feel like everyone's mad at me. Why? No one's mad at you. Well, Jenna, first of all. But I feel like everyone thinks this is my fault or something. Why would any of this be your fault? He was probably right about Jenna, though. It's my house, my great whatever is. It's all just my shit. He sniffs. I don't know, just being alone gets me thinking about this stuff. About how I'm still fucking everything up. Dude, Jenna told us fucked up things are happening everywhere, not just your house. I look around, which I'm assuming we're still in, maybe? I look back down at Carl. What brought all this up? We're all just working together to get ourselves out of here. Carl wipes his face and sniffles noisily before sitting up straight. I wasn't finding anything, and I started thinking about what would happen if we never do find anything. That's not going to happen. These things are doing this. These things that are doing this are trying to tell us something, right? I don't know about that, man. They seem just as confused and angry as we are. Carl looks at me with his reddened eyes. It's like they're fighting, too. Yeah, I guess they're having some issues. Carl reaches out and I let him pull me into his side. I don't resist and Carl chuckles. And it's just creepy being up here alone. I fit against him almost perfectly and I lay my head against his shoulder. Sorry. Or what? Yeah, I feel like I should be the strong one. Huh? And you've already seen me cry like twice. Hey, I don't believe in the strong one type of crap. I rest a hand on Carl's thigh, squeezing it. You're strong for the other person You're strong for the other person when they need it, and both people will need it eventually. Carl shifts against me and he laughs so nervously. You're talking about us like we're a thing. Aren't we a thing? I mean, look what we're doing right now. I don't know, man. It's hard to say when you're stuck in a haunted cabin. I feel him press his nose to my head, inhaling. This place is doing weird things to me. I squeeze his thigh again. Squeeze! Yeah, we could talk about it when we actually get out of here, when the stuff isn't fucking with our heads. So we are a thing, but just in the ghost dimension? Sure, for now. I'm fine with that, for now. He breathes in deeply. You smell good. Okay, I snort. What do I smell like? Like the ocean. Dude, I'm a river otter. Besides, the river and ocean smell bad. He pulls me back easily with his superior strength before pushing me back onto the bed, teasing at my neck with his warm nose. Carl, stop! I hiss at him, trying not to burst out laughing. He mumbles against my neck. Hey, I'm just getting you back for earlier. I giggle helplessly behind a closed mouth, trying to keep quiet. Jenna's gonna fucking John Cena this shit. She's gonna show up giving an AA to fucking... Oh, this is gonna be bad! This is gonna be bad! I can't deny I like this, but Jenna's criticism just minutes earlier has me feeling hesitant. He starts to move lower, but at that moment I hear a metal clang echo up the stairs. We both pause and Carl's large ears are perked under his beanie. Prop myself up on my elbows and look towards the doorway. I guess we should get back to searching. Yeah. With that moment clearly over, Carl sits back up on the side of the bed while I straighten out my shirt. You found something? Raven's voice drifts faintly up the stairs. Carl and I look at each other. Hey, maybe we don't need to. What? Maybe we won't need to. You want to go check? Yeah, wait here a sec. If it's nothing, I'll come back up and help you look around, alright? Okay. Carl scoots to the side so I can get off the bed. It takes me a few minutes to get down the stairs on my stiff ankle. Once I get into the kitchen, I'm confronted with an odd scene. Jenna's halfway into the wood-burning stove, reaching into the back, probably up into the metal tube. What are you doing?
She found something!
Raven's standing off to the side of the stove, bouncing on the balls of his feet.
It's stuck.
Jenna grunts as she adjusts herself, reaching in and from a different angle. What is it? I hobble slowly across the room towards them.
You need help?
I realize he's talking to me, but I shake my head at the husky as I watch Jenna pull back and look into the opening of the stove.
Goddamn thing shouldn't be that hard to get.
Maybe I can help? But Jenna's already plunging her hand back in, head sticking just out of the opening as she does. Seems to garner some success as she smirks.
Ha! Got it!
Then her whole body jerks as she's seemingly yanked into the opening. Oh shit! Raven yelps as Jenna grabs onto the side of the stove to keep from being pulled in.
Oh my gosh!
Jenna! My voice rises in panic as I see her get yanked a second time. Raven automatically steps up next to her and grabs her arm. The third yank almost pulls him off his feet. I run over to help and wrap my arms around Jenna's waist to get a better grip. Another jolt and I'm able to feel the power of whatever has a hold on Jenna myself. What's happening? I hear a thudding and rustling in the stove, like something's turning over angrily and repeatedly. The image of some kind of caged animal passes through my mind, and it sends chills up my spine.
No, you fucking don't!
I look up at the fox, and I notice she doesn't look scared at all. Instead, she looks pissed off, her lips drawn back in a snarl, teeth bared viciously. She's talking to whatever is in the stove. I feel the muscles in her body tensed up and writhing under my hands as she twists to get free. I look around her body at Raven. His face, in contrast, is a mask of horror. Raven! His eyes wide snap to mine. Get a grip around her body and we'll pull at the same time. He briefly let go of Jenna's arms and leaned down to her other side to wrap his arms around her waist. Okay, on 3. 1, 2. No, the yank. Suddenly, Jenna's upper half is pulled into the stove. Shit! I lose my balance and fall back on my butt, knocking my head against the metal stove. My eyes water and I let go with one hand, desperately rubbing the back of my head while I loosely keep a grip on Jenna with the other.
Chase!
Raven's actually sliding into the fireplace himself at this point. I try to get my bearings and I pull myself back up next to Jenna, but at the same point, something big and bulky comes barreling into the room. Oh, here he comes. My vision clears just in time to see a big ram reach in for Jenna's body, practically pushing Raven aside. His horns clang loudly against the stove as he wraps his arms around Jenna's body and pulls back with all of his 270 pounds behind it. The fox emerges slowly, both of her arms still stuck in the stove, a determined look on her face. Carl lets go for a half second, lunging forward to grab both of Jenna's elbows. He yanks back again, letting out a strained grunt. Her wrists emerge from the stove, and I get a glance at black tendrils wrapped around them before those tendrils suddenly disappear. Carl and Jenna are both launched back, Jenna getting a cushioned landing on top of the ram as Carl lets out a loud wheeze. I hobble over to them, kneeling next to Carl as Jenna rolls off of him, eliciting another grunt. She sits up while Carl continues to lay there, his eyes wide. You guys okay? Carl waves a hand at me, rolling over onto his side as he gasps breathlessly. Jenna sits next to him, holding her hands up. I can already see some nasty swelling under the fur covering her wrists. I wince. Jenna, are you alright?
I'm fine.
She's not looking at her wrist, though. Instead, it's at an ash-smudged, folded piece of paper in her hands. From the bits that aren't covered, I can see that the paper is yellowed and ancient-looking. Not at all like the clearly photocopied newspaper we'd seen earlier. Jenna looks down at it, standing up. I hear a groan next to me as I turn back to Carl.
Can't go a day without getting beat up.
I rub his shoulder as I look down at him, smiling. Wow, that was kind of heroic. Carl grunts as he stands up.
You think so?
Yeah, the last second too. Carl rubs his knees.
Would have gotten here earlier if I hadn't tripped down the stairs like twice.
He stares at the stove.
What the hell was that?
I look too into the yawning black hole and shiver. I don't know, it was all black and smoky, like what we saw before.
Think it'll come out of there?
Raven suddenly steps in to lift the stove door, twisting the handles to lock it. He helps as he does it, jumping back as soon as the deed is done. I chuckle, then look back at Carl. Over his shoulder, Jenna walks into my field of vision. The paper is open in her hands, and she's holding it over the candle. All at once, I realize what she's trying to do. I choke on whatever it is I'm about to say next and leap up awkwardly onto my injured ankle. Jenna! Luckily, Jenna's only about 5 feet away, and I practically fall into her, pushing her away from the candle. We both fall against a bench under the window. Jenna's hand smacks against my nose, bringing tears to my eyes. I yelp as she pulls her fingers in, raking lines of fire down my nose with her claws. Damn! There's a pounding in my ears, and I distantly register that the drums have started up again. She twists out from under me and pulls away from the bench. When the fuck did she get this strong? I numbly keep my grip on her wrists, and she spins, swinging me away from her. I lose my grip and stumble back, stepping wrong on my foot and rebending my ankle at the exact same way I did last time. Ugh, I yelp again, much more loudly this time as I crumple to the ground. Carl swears and jumps over me at Jenna. Wait! I try to grab him by the hoof that's passing over me, but I miss miserably. As I sit up, I hear an ungodly bestial snarling, and I look up to see Carl is wrestling and kicking and scratching Jenna to the ground. That is fucking it! He pins her there while she writhes under him, trying to scratch at his face. Stop it, guys! Raven is still standing off to the side, his paws on his head, pulling at his ears. I crawl over to their writhing bodies, one eye wincing shut as each movement sending a lightning bolt through my leg. I grab Jenna's hands, forcing them down above her head. Jenna, stop! Jenna suddenly kicks one of her legs up between Carl's legs as he kneels over her. Fuck! He crumples over on top of Jenna, lying on her legs as he tries to pin his thighs together. I look down into Jenna's face. Stop it! What the hell are you doing? Jenna snarls up at me, but it's softer this time. Her struggles die down a little, and after holding my gaze for about 10 seconds, she looks away. I relax my grip for a bit, gasping as I try to rearrange my foot so there's not so much pressure on my ankle. I don't know. I pull the piece of paper out from her limp fingers and push away from her, waiting to see if she'll come after me again. She doesn't, instead just laying there with her hands above her head, staring at the ceiling. Raven, still with his fingers twisted around his ears, looks over at me. Yeah? Take Jenna upstairs. Take a nap or something. I think we need to be kept separate for now. As Raven hurries over to Jenna, Carl rolls off with a groan. Raven's easily able to coax Jenna up off the floor, and they head upstairs, Jenna looking down at the floor all the while. Jesus. I scoot over to Carl, holding my breath as each drag sends another spasm through my leg. He's on his side, hands between his legs as he squints at the wall. Once he notices me, he looks at my ankle. Fuck, are you okay, man? No, I don't think so. I stepped on it wrong again. God damn it, what the fuck is your problem? It's okay, you're just gonna have to carry me again. Carl chuckles before letting out another softer groan. What did I say about getting beat up all the time? Are you okay? No, she kicked me in the fucking balls! I sit quietly for a moment, the pain in my ankle fading into a more cold electric sting rather than a molten lava. What the hell's going on? Why would she try to burn it? Carl is quiet for a moment, then he looks up at me again. You know, right? What? I could be wrong since nothing makes sense here. What? You know this probably has something to do with James and John. I rub the back of my head again, feeling a bump swelling up already. Didn't we already figure that's what's going on? I mean, with Jenna. You know how James was sort of talking to me? Yeah, like he told you what to find? Yeah, but I think something is talking to Jenna, too. John? Maybe. To make you guys fight? Weren't they lovers? Would there be a reason for John wanting his paper not to be read? Carl doesn't say anything, choosing to roll onto his back, lay his hands out to either side of him. I look down at the paper in my hand. Well, should I read this now or wait for the others? Might as well do it now. She might try something again. Alright, I'm going to read it out loud then. Carl waves a hand in the air, indicating that I should go ahead. I scoot back against the wall so I can stretch my leg out and start reading. My dearest John, I've been hearing terrible things lately. They say that you've been accusing me of the most egregious monstrosities. I dare not believe them. In fact, I will not until I hear your words for myself. There must be some misunderstanding. Has one of my many political enemies pitted you against me? Are they using the missing native boys as a weapon against my campaign? I would not think that to be below them, but what concerns me most is you. Please visit me at my mansion. We must speak on this. I very much look forward to your company and believe that we can soon set this straight. Yours forever, James. I look up at Carl. He looks back at me. So, what do you think that means? Carl rubs inconspicuously at his crotch. I guess something went wrong between James and John? Oh, yeah, but what? Sounds like he tried to frame him or something. I remember the newspaper clipping that had somehow gone up in flames. Hey, that newspaper article that burned up said something about a Masada kid that went missing. So native kids were going missing, and John used it to get at James somehow? Maybe. We still don't know if John was doing it anyway. James doesn't seem to know either. I wonder if we'd have been better off if Carl had a little bit of James in him right now. At least then we'd have a better idea of what is going on, maybe. And again, the situation is so volatile with Jenna, I'm kind of glad we don't have another ghost to deal with in Carl. I look at the Ram, who's in the middle of pulling his waistband out to look at his junk. If James is still influencing Carl somehow, then he isn't really showing it. You okay? Carl abruptly lets go of his waistband, letting it snap back against his waist. Huh? Yeah, I'm fine. Are your balls okay? Carl smiles ruefully. They look fine, still kind of hurt. I think about making a joke about making them feel better, but that doesn't really feel appropriate right now. I'm actually more worried about Jenna, and not just because she can beat me up. Yeah. It seemed that at this point, Jenna isn't really Jenna anymore. Should we talk to her about, resisting it? It's worked for me. I look in the direction of the door as a loud click emanates from it. Oh shit. Carl's long ears perk and he follows my gaze. We both stare at it for a few seconds. Do you think... maybe? Slowly, Carl gets to his feet, still bow-legged, and hobbles towards the door. Careful. I say, a little apprehensive that something might open it from the other side. Carl doesn't say anything and slowly shuffles toward the door, pausing in front of it for a few seconds. Slowly, he reaches out and rests a hand on the handle and gives it a slight push. It shifts open a few inches. Carl looks back at me. I think we should get the others. We all stand around the door, Carl to my right and Raven to my left, Raven and I making sure there's maximum distance between Jenna and Carl. The door is shifted open a few inches, and the vertical black void it reveals is a little ominous. So we just go through? I don't know, man. That's what we did last time, right? Yeah. I feel like the real question is if we really want to go through the door in the first place. Is it just going to lead to another terrible place where terrible things happen? I feel a void similar to the one I'm looking at open up in my chest. I thought of being trapped in a loop, going through door after door that leads to nothing but horror. This is a horror game after all! I mean, seriously! Already this place was having an effect on Jenna that seems to be getting worse with each passing hour. How much longer can she keep it together? What did the letter say? I tense up. Anything she does now is putting me on edge, like I'm waiting for her to lash out again. My hand drifts conspiratorially to my pocket where the folded up letter is. I glance to my right at Carl, but he's got eyes on the door. A few things, just more history stuff. About what? I decide at that moment that I have to lie. No, don't lie. We need to keep Jenna or John calm if we want to get through this. I have a feeling that John wouldn't want to hear about James revealing what I assume are secrets. I didn't read anything about John trying to sabotage James in my research, but maybe that's what James is trying to tell us. So I shrug my shoulders, moving my hand away from my pocket. Stuff about the mine. There wasn't enough of it to sustain the town. I'm worried Jenna might challenge my lie for whatever reason. She doesn't say anything, though, and Carl just keeps on staring straight ahead. Raven suddenly clasps his hands together, making Carl and I jump.
So, should we open it?
Raven reaches out. Wait! The husky pauses and looks back at me expectantly, his black ears tipped forward. Should we do this? I mean, it's probably just going to lead to another place where we have to find another thing.
Yeah?
So maybe we shouldn't keep going? Why wouldn't we keep going? We need to keep going! I stumble over my words, trying to piece together my feelings and put them into sentences as I go. I just think that they're not really on our side, you know? I make an effort not to look at Jenna. So if they're not, why are we doing what they want us to do? I realize I'm shaking now, and I make an effort to make my hands still. That's when I feel something big and warm slide into my right hand as I glance down to find Carl holding it. He gives me a quick look and a small smile before returning his attention back to the door.
What else should we do?
Raven's tone isn't accusatory, but it is genuinely curious. I don't have a very good answer. Well, maybe we can find a way back somehow. Maybe we're still in Carl's house right now. Carl's house. That place seems like it's thousands of miles and years away at this point. Maybe we can, wake ourselves up somehow? Raven doesn't respond, and neither does anyone else. I realize how stupid I must sound. Sorry. I just feel like we're taking things too fast right now. Carl gives my hand another squeeze.
Hey dude, we're all a little scared. We can talk about things.
Carl looks past me at Raven and Jenna.
No rush. I'm actually starting to feel the same way.
I feel my cheeks burn at the way I'm holding everyone back because I'm scared.
So, when I had that guy in my head, I sort of felt like he was taking us somewhere.
Carl runs the hand, not holding mine, up one of his horns, scratching at it.
Like an endpoint, you know?
Raven fidgets with one of his ears.
Like a good endpoint? Yeah, man, I think so.
That didn't sound very convincing. You can stay here if you want, Otter. It takes me a few seconds to realize she's talking to me. Is she really that gone? I just hope that if we reach the end of this, we can get her back somehow.
Whoa, Jenna, that's crazy.
I cough to clear my throat. No, I'll go. I just wanted to think about it for a second. Have you thought about it then? Yeah. I look at Carl, but he only offers me a shrug and a comforting rub on the shoulder. Well, if that's all, then let's go. Jenna steps forward to grab the door handle, and I bite my tongue to keep from saying we should wait again. The door swings open to reveal blackness, just like the last time. Unlike the last time, though, there's a spot of flickering light in the distance. The fire. Everything's quiet right now. No drum beat, but the darkness is unnatural. It's inky and thick. It just keeps saying it's inky. Why with the inky? It's inky and thick, like it's alive. I get the unnerving feeling that it's trying to eat the light from the fire. Maybe towards the fire? Jenna suddenly steps forward, and just like that, she's swallowed by the darkness. Jenna, wait! She ignores me. Carl gives his shoulders another shrug.
Well, if she's being persuaded, I guess she probably knows where she's going.
I see her form pass in front of the firelight a few times, and she's gone.
All right, here we go.
Despite his nervousness, Raven still sounds cheerful about stepping into oblivion.
You ready, dude?
I look over at Carl, and he's gazing back at me warmly, an encouraging smile on his face.
Dude, I'm reaching my limits too. If we have to do another place like this.
His ears droop, looking almost defeated. I nod, swallowing as quietly as I can. He pulls me into his side by my hand, and he wraps my arm around his shoulder.
Just stay close, Kay.
Yeah. I step forward with him, and immediately we're immersed in blackness. Not only do things go dark visually, but the change is physical too. I don't know if it's all in my head, but I feel heavier, like the darkness is pushing down on my shoulders. It's colder too, to the point where I can feel the heat radiating off Carl's body when I brush up against him.
Doing okay, man?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, I'm good.
The going is slow, and not just because of my injured, probably broken ankle. The ground is uneven and rocky, like we're outside walking in the desert. Which I realize is exactly what we're doing when we walk straight into what feels like a sagebrush. Carl thrashes around with the hand not holding onto me, and we're able to sort of stumble around it. Where the hell are we? I mutter as I stub my toe painfully on a rock.
Outside?
Yeah, but where outside?
The desert, right?
So do you think that we're still in Echo? Carl's quiet for a moment.
Maybe, but not really. I don't think we can just walk to our houses.
I wonder if maybe all the others, TJ, Leo, and Flynn, are out here too in the darkness. I want to call out, but I'm too nervous that that's going to attract something to us. I still remember the black figure dancing around the fire we're walking towards at this very moment. We're close enough now that I'm starting to be able to make out Carl in the darkness. I look back at the house to see how far we've gone. All that I can make out now are two rectangles of light. One for the door we came out of, and one for the kitchen window. In the kitchen rectangle, a dark figure stands formed by the faint light inside. I squint, not really sure what I'm seeing. Then it moves, disappearing from the window. I stop walking, and Carl stops with me, looking back over his shoulder.
What?
I don't... Did one of the others go back? The black figure appears again, this time at the doorway of the house. Oh, shit! I don't even have time to react before it steps forward and then the door swings shut with a distant snap. Oh, God! Oppressive blackness takes its place. I grab onto Carl more tightly.
The hell?
My mind flashes back to the black thing I'd seen crawling out of the wardrobe. Come on. I nudge into Carl's side, trying to get him to hurry along while resisting the urge to try and run on my twisted ankle. I'm realizing that it might come to that. Raven, Jenna! I call out into the darkness ahead of us, wanting to warn them. Over our ragged breathing, though, there's dead silence all around us except for a drum beat. Fuck. Either they can't hear us, or they can't respond. Carl's gripping onto me with both of his hands, practically hauling me off my feet as he pulls me along. Suddenly, he stops.
What the fuck am I doing?
He lets me go and crouches down in front of me. On my back! I'm there before he even finishes the sentence, and my face is bouncing off his hard skull as he starts sprinting towards the fire. Whether it's in my head or not, I swear I can hear slithering sound behind me, like a snake sliding over dry leaves. I shiver, not wanting to look back, but I do anyway, trying to peer into the darkness. Of course I can't see anything, but I swear something flashes in front of the lone rectangle light coming from the cabin's kitchen window. Christ! The rustling sound gets louder, and now I can't pretend that I'm imagining it. It casts a picture into my mind. That black shadow creature contorting and bending through the sagebrush that Carl was having so much trouble moving through. I hold on to one of his horns and lean towards his ear. Carl, it's getting close, and then my stomach lurches as it feels like the floor just suddenly drops away. Next thing I know, my nose is smacked hard into the back of Carl's head before I flip over, landing on my back in what feels like a sea of sharp rocks. Ow! I lay there for a second, dazed, staring at the black ocean above me, wondering if any of this is real. Am I still dreaming? Maybe I'll just wake up from in my dorm, probably late to my legal and ethical issues in journalism class. Fuck, are you okay? A muffled voice breaks through my haze of confusion and pain. Then I'm being yanked back up as Carl pulls me to my feet and clumsily shoves me back onto his back. Sorry, Fine. I can barely mumble through my numb mouth, which feels like it's full of pennies. Oh, shit. I can see I'm making dark stains on the back of Carl's shirt. It feels like my face is caved in. Oh my god. I wonder if my nose is broken, but the fear of the pursuit is returning, and I quickly clutch at Carl's horns before he resumes his sprint. He finally comes to a stumbling halt in front of the massive bonfire, which it looks so small from the cabin. We both stare up at it, the heat almost unbearable. The whispers behind me reach a crescendo, the hissing just over my shoulder. What are we supposed to do? My voice races in pitch as I look back behind us, the black shape now discernible in the firelight as it slithers around the rocks and sagebrush. It's like a person imitating a snake. I grip onto Carl as he turns to face it and then takes a step back, then another. I don't know. I cling to the ram. I can feel him trembling underneath me. Don't back into that fire now. As the creature reaches the edge of the circle of firelight, Carl turns and starts running past the fire, and then my muscle seize up. My jaw clenches, my eyes roll back, and I feel myself falling backwards. This shit again? Oh, and we're here again. The heat is almost unbearable. My fur is damp from sweat, the skin underneath itching and uncomfortable. I can feel the sun on my face, the brightness turning, and the insides of my eyelids are dazzling red. I don't want to open them, though. No, I just want to sleep. I almost do fall asleep, but a distant chorus of shouts and screams jolt me back awake. Now I do try to open my eyes, but I can't. It's like they're glued shut. I reach up to paw them, but my arms won't lift. I must be dreaming, stuck in a paralysis. So I lay there, listening to the shouting and screaming, imagining an angry mob. After what seems like hours, the voices fade, and the red turns deeper, darker, blood-like, as if the sun is setting. And that's when I can finally drift away, back to sleep. The soft, choking moan brings me back to the surface. I'm still hot and sweaty, but the blazing sun isn't shining in my face anymore. I wiggle my fingers and shift my arms a bit, feeling them glide over fabric. At least I'm not paralyzed anymore. Another moan, followed by a coughing sound, forces me to open my eyes, realizing it's not part of a dream.